Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So, we've just come out doing a little bit of exploring. We're in Aldenham, which some of you will be familiar with because it's right next to the manor.
Yeah.
Okay. Baba's unimpressed being a city girl.
Yeah.
I quite like it, being a country boy. And there's lots of walks through fields.
Yeah.
Not very many sidewalks.
No.
Main roads, dirt ditches. But we found this very nice church, and I think this might become our local, like we used to go to Russell Square. And I wouldn't be afraid to bet that Srila Prabhupada walked here at some point. We'll have to get that confirmed. But yeah, because he did go for walks through the fields around here, that's for sure. So I have to get some confirmation on that. But yeah, there's a nice bench with this beautiful background, as you can see. It's an old church. Bhava Bhakti will do a little investigating and give you some information about it. Okay, by that look, maybe she won't.
I mean, relic.
Never mind. Anyway.
It's Aldenham Parish Church.
It's Aldenham Parish Church. Interesting. Okay, yeah, and there's their Aldenham PC.
Parish Church. .gov.uk.
PC, politically correct, I guess.
No, Parish Church.
Parish Church. Notice board. Okay, but we're not here for the church. That was a parrot. Unbelievable. Nice, big, beautiful green one.
Just so we sat down to read Bhagavatam. Gorgeous. It's like Radharani sending a sign.
Good, yeah. Saying, come here.
Well.
Chant Bhagavatam. And that's what we're going to do. I wonder what it means when the big black crows come then.
No, but let's read because it's getting dark now.
It is, strangely enough. Okay, so we're reading from the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam.
Canto 3, chapter 31, text 38.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
It's because men can't hold that high octane, so you have to go lower, like Mariah Carey can sing really high, that's why.
The blessings. Go ahead, read, young lady.
Sorry, I didn't bring my book, so we're sharing. Alright, text 38. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of a woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Purport. There are many instances in the history of the world of the great conquerors being captivated by the charms of a Cleopatra. One has to study the captivating potency of woman and man's attraction for that potency. From what source was this generated? According to Vedanta Sutra, we can understand that everything is generated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is enunciated there, Janmadi Yashyayata. This means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Supreme Person Brahman, the Absolute Truth, is the source from whom everything emanates. The captivating power of woman and man's susceptibility to such attraction must also exist in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual world, and must be represented in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So what we're learning here is, as Krishna says, my Maya here, my Maya in the shape of a woman, and Prabhupada's explaining that this is originating from the spiritual world, this male-female attraction. But as we have learnt, and most likely will go on to learn, the purity of that attraction is different. The attraction, the male-female rasa, excuse me, is there, but is there in the spiritual world, as we see with Krishna, and then he's messing about all the gopis and all that. But it's a very different, purity level than here.
Yeah,
It's
very
a yoga.
different.
Oh,
One's-
that's lovely.
Yeah. In the spiritual world, it's pure, and in this world, it ain't.
Yeah.
So it's a very different purity level.
But the point being, no, but my point, the important point as Prabhupada is saying is it exists, it originates from the
Yeah.
spiritual world. It's not some people try to negate, I'm not going to talk to man, I'm not going to talk to woman, I'm going to do, like what we were saying in the previous one, in that woman that was a nun for all those years, and all it took was just, and she didn't talk except 2.5 hours a day, and all it took was just to gently, her sleeve touch someone, and that was the end of that. So I'm just saying.
Because everything that exists in the material world has its origin in the spiritual world. So it's just in the spiritual world, it's in its pure unadulterated form. So like that.
Okay. Do you want to read the next paragraph?
Sure. You gonna hold it?
All right.
The Lord is the supreme person, the supreme male. As a common male wants to be attracted by a female, that propensity similarly exists in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also wants to be attracted by the beautiful features of a woman. Now, the question is, if he wants to be captivated by such womanly attraction, would he be attracted by any material woman? It is not possible. Even persons who are in this material existence can give up womanly attraction if they are attracted by the Supreme Brahman. Such was the case with, who do you think? Who conquered over attraction to woman? Like many
Asking me.
people. Huh?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking our listeners at home, trying to keep them on their toes. Haridas Thakur. Yes. Not only did he not get allured by the prostitute, but later Maya Devi herself came to try to allure him, but he was so into chanting that he didn't fall for it. So, like that. A beautiful prostitute, see here it is, a beautiful prostitute tried to attract him in the dead of night, but since he was situated in devotional service and transcendental love of Godhead, Haridas Thakur was not captivated. Rather, he turned that person into a great devotee by his transcendental association. Therefore, this material attraction certainly cannot attract the Supreme Lord. When he wants to be attracted by a woman, he has to create such a woman from his own energy. Of course, they're all created by his own energy anyway, but that woman is, who do you think? Who's that woman that attracts Krishna? Krishna is Madan Mohan. Who is Madan Mohan? Mohini? Correct. Srimati Radharani. It is explained by the Goswamis that Radharani is the manifestation of the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Supreme Lord wants to derive transcendental pleasure, he has to create a woman from his internal potency. Thus, the tendency to be attracted by womanly beauty is natural because it exists in the spiritual world. There you go. It's normal. It's natural. In the material world, it is reflected pervertedly, and therefore there are so many inebrities. Inebrities. What does inebrities mean? What do you think? Inebrities. iPad is offline.
So many dualities.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, inebrities, like if someone is inebriated, it means they're intoxicated and like imbalanced and not able to kind of make sense of what's going on. So there's so many, intoxications, I guess.
Yeah.
So, very powerful. So the example of Haridas Thakur is given, someone who can conquer over women in this material world. Prabhupada brings that point up because he says Krishna is not attracted by just some ordinary woman of the material world. He has to create a woman who's divinely created from his internal energy. And he says, so, he can never be allured by some materialistic woman. So that's to defeat the mentality of those who try to say that, see, look, this is the bus here that we can catch into Watford. So what he's trying to say is that, those who try to proclaim that Krishna was messing around with materialistic women when he was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, it's nonsense, because he can't be attracted by just some materialistic woman. Any woman that he was attracted to has to be on the pure platform, like his pure energy, so like that. His pure devotees. So, but Haridas Thakur conquered over materialistic women, so it's possible for anyone. You just have to be absorbed in devotional service. And it doesn't just mean conquering over women, it means conquering over that, I guess you could say, the sex impulse, or the impulse to enjoy, separately from Krishna, as long as we get a taste in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, because if you think about it, when you're absorbed in something in material life, you can shut everything out. Like, I think it was yesterday when we got back home in the evening, and I hadn't checked my messages all day, so I was on my phone, and I was very absorbed, and he kept asking me questions, and I was getting a bit irritated, because I was like, I was very absorbed, and I think
who?
You.
She, the cat's meow.
And then at one point you asked me a question and I didn't answer, and then you got all, And I was like, what's up with him? And I thought, only later I was asking me a question, but I was absorbed. So my point is, we have experience, because we might read that and think, absorption to that extent, but we are absorbed, but obviously in the wrong way, as it were. We have so many things that can absorb us, so we have experience of it. So just maybe even meditate or think about that, and then it's like, to the degree that you're attracted to all things Krishna and spiritual and whatnot, you can have that same absorption level that we have elsewhere in Krishna.
Absolutely.
Okay, next paragraph. Instead of being attracted by material beauty, if one is accustomed to being attracted by the beauty of Radharani and Krishna, then the statement of Bhagavad Gita, Param Drisva Nirvartate, holds true. When one is attracted by the transcendental beauty of Radha and Krishna, he is no longer attracted by material feminine beauty. That is the special significance of Radha Krishna worship. That is testified to by Yamunacharya. He says,
Yamunacharya.
I was thinking of him.
I think you merged Ramanuja
I did.
Jamuna.
Jamuna.
What did you say?
Yamunacharya.
Yamunacharya. Hey, Bhagawan.
You know that man that has that TV show? Ramanuja Prabhu.
Yeah. That man who has that TV show.
He says, since I have become attracted by the beauty of Radha and Krishna, when there is attraction for a woman or a memory of sex life with a woman, I at once spit on it, and my face turns in disgust. When we are attracted by Madan Mohan and the beauty of Krishna and his consorts, then the shackles of conditioned life, namely the beauty of a material woman, cannot attract us. Sure can add anything, really.
And it says it all. Yeah, I always have appreciated that quote. Of course, in this place, Prabhupada translates it that I spit on it and my face turns in disgust. And most places, he says that my lips curl and I spit in disgust. But when you say spit on it, because sometimes I think in the olden days, this verse used to be kind of like, if you think of women, then spit on them.
Oh dear.
Thing.
Oh.
Lord have mercy.
Oh.
There's our bus. Bus is back, boys. So it's not. again, we have to be very careful that it doesn't become some sort of derogatory thing that like makes a certain type of person the bad guy or evil or wicked in some way. Actually, it's not the person, it's the consciousness behind it. It's the mentality that is the problem. So it's not, okay, a woman is, let's say there's a beautiful woman, like my wife, and, you know, it's not that she's, you know, okay, so she's naturally alluring, but, you know, one has to be self-controlled. They have to be controlled in themselves to not be disturbed. It's not the fault of someone else. And to that end, so societies around the globe have tried so many things to curb that potency of a woman, you could say, of the female human, the female human body. And but ultimately, that's just the other side of the coin. That's aversion. So there's attraction and then there's aversion. And we know the story of the two monks at the river, and the lady needed help crossing the river. The one monk offered to carry her on his back or on his shoulders and cross the river. He put her down on the other side. They kept walking. 3, 4, 5 miles later, the other monk that didn't carry the woman turned, and he was so angry and so upset, and he said to the monk that carried the lady, "I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you carried that woman on your back. You know, we're monks. We're not supposed to touch women." Went on the whole trip. And then the monk who carried the woman, he looked at him and he said, "You know, I put that woman down on the other side of the river. You've been carrying her for the last 5 to 10 miles. So aversion means that we're still thinking about it. We're still consumed with it mentally in a mood of being averse, in a mood of declaration of like, no, I'm not interested. But it's the same. Prabhupada said it's two sides of the same coin. Like
aversion to me is like a boomerang.
Okay, what's that mean?
Because a boomerang, if you know what it is, a frisbee, you throw it and it just lands on someone's head. It won't come back. But a boomerang, the whole point of it is that it comes back. So with aversion, that which I am being averse to will come back and bite me on the bum. So if I'm a brahmachari, for example, no, women are nasty and horrible and let me just stay away, I'll give you, I'm not a gambling woman because I took a vow not to gamble, but if I was, I would tell you that that person will end up in a conundrum, as it were, because that which you are averse to, like the boomerang, because it's unnatural, it will come back to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but let's make sure that's in context. It's not that someone couldn't be a lifelong celibate or a lifelong brahmachari.
Yes, this is not
but they can't be averse.
Class.
The point is, they can't be averse to women.
Yes.
They have to just have a natural
knowledge.
Well, knowledge, yes.
And just.
But they just have to naturally be detached.
Yeah.
And not natural means like this, Haridas Thakur, because there are other places Prabhupada gives the example of, I think, Subari Muni, and also, what's the other Muni that fell for the heavenly damsel?
There's so many.
Might have been Viswamitra. Yeah, so like that, we can... She's playing with the computer. Anyway, so basically, it's not that. You just have to be naturally detached. So, okay, I think we're gonna go now. The planes are coming. She's distracted. She got tired of listening to me.
No, I didn't. I was, Lord.
Anyway, we'll see you more again doing some outside readings, hopefully, since the rains of devastation seem to have stopped for a day or so. So, all right. Hare Krishna, everyone. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Please read the Bhagavatam.